welcome everybody to this week's episode. So nice to see all the new subscribers joining, and we are nearing 100, which to some may seem small, but I think it's a nice little group of people for only being back in the game for a little over a month. And I just want to let you know this week on this episode, we're going to show a little bit about setting up our Bimini enclosure, a little bit of gel coat boat polishing, also some woodwork, epoxy work for the bathroom woodwork, and bow and stern thruster refurbishing and making that a little bit better. Also, the our bed mattress being custom made to fit, and also just a little bit of upholstery work. I hope you enjoy this video, and thank you so much for joining us this week. Hope you have a great day.
Really needs some sort of little intricate buckle.
So the plan today is to work on this Bimini. Bruce got, we're trying to replace the old one, was pretty worn out. And so instead of buying one for the boat in particular from Ranger Tug, which would have been a pretty good cost, we decided to do something he found online, and we are kind of refitting it here. So we need to take it down and do some sewing and do snaps yet to finish it off. But I think he's done a pretty good job of fitting it up there. And then his plan is to polish on the top of the boat today, do some fixing up there. And I am going to go and lay a tarp down here and empty the boat of things from the living areas out into the tarp and kind of just go through what we have and what we want to get rid of and what we want to put on the boat for long term. So kind of a big day going on here. We're sitting out here in the sunshine, still dreaming about our boat. Bruce worked on that Bimini all weekend, and we were getting close to getting it how we want it. Looking pretty good. I'm just going to show where we live right now because I can. But I came home from a cleaning job today and he was working on the boat. He said he was going to work on something and he got really hot and he was like, why don't I work on a part that I like to work on? So he chose a shade and he is buffing this boat. I've never seen it look so good as far as shiny goes. Like that is pretty nice. And this is how he does it. He was saying to me, nobody wants to see this, but I kind of think people like this. Nothing like a good cleaning ASMR movie people can watch. Anyway, looking really good. I'll show you the other side so you know how good this actually does look. Of course, the other side's sitting in the sun too, so. See how dull that is? Like there's no comparison. Yeah, pretty cool. He does want to get the bottom painted yet too, but I don't know if we'll have time for all of that before we have to head out. Okay, Bruce is working on the bathroom walls with epoxy. It's touchy, fast work. The whole house is dedicated to it. I'm not really sure of the procedure, but he's done our countertops before, so he knows what he's doing.
Yep, and these are the countertops here that I did. So this would technically be my third exposure to stone coat epoxy countertop material, and you can kind of work with it for a while, and a heat gun is amazing for getting out bubbles and stuff. And I'm trying to do, instead of like a normal real heavy coat of finish, I'm trying to do a thin coat and spread it around. So that is why I'm trying to thin out some of my heavy spots and keep putting it on the incomplete little pieces. So I just poured it out onto the large projects that I have here, and then I'm using the big projects to try to thin them down and put material on all these little pieces. And
What's this heat gun for?
the heat gun, you want to kind of use that to, it can work out air bubbles, so you can kind of see I'm kind of running over this stuff kind of fast. Epoxy is one of those things that if you spread it out quickly over a lot of stuff, it'll set up a little slower than if it's in a pot or a bucket all together. And but you do have limited time to work with this. And when you're rolling fast like I'm doing, trying to get this stuff all spread around, you can easily have a bunch of bubbles in your work. And a heat gun can just draw that stuff out awesome and look great. The wonderful thing is I did spend a little extra money on this house when I did the countertops, and I have all of this is leftover material that I'm using. So I actually didn't have to go out and buy anything other than, yeah, maybe like a paint tray.
So do you have stuff in the other room too?
I do.
I'll take you in there and show you that yet. Try not to touch anything. Oh yeah, here's the big panels for, I think that's the door for the bathroom. Not really sure what all that is. And some trim boards. But this will be so we can ensure that we can take a shower without getting the walls ruined. It just really puts a great finish on them. Obviously, if it's countertop finish, it's good enough for other waterproofing.
I love wood. I love real wood. And it is amazing. It looks like higher quality and like fancier finish, but wood is just not made for water. And the wonderful thing with the new epoxy finishes and stuff is you can really put an amazing durable finish on that, yeah, can handle water without, and you can still, like a lot of times you would put color in this epoxy to make colored designs, marble, whatever you want. But in this case, I'm using it like just a finish, a clear coat finish. So we'll be able to see the wood right through the finish, and it'll still be protected like a kitchen countertop, and incredibly durable. Love this product. A little bit cool this morning. A little dusting of snowballs. And yeah, but it's still supposed to hit 55 today, so we have big temperature swings each day a lot of times this time of year.
I would like to talk about the process that I'm going through to get some epoxy on our bathroom walls and wood paneling. So I will kind of show you a little bit about that now. Yesterday, I put the oil-based epoxy on. Some of these here I did them on both sides at the same time, and so some of the bottom pieces stuck to cardboard and stuff that I had it laid on. Anyway, just kind of want to show a little bit what it looks like. This is what it looks like if you just kind of do a bar top. I did not delint my roller, and I was interested mostly in sealing up the wood. So I would have came along these edges with the roller, and that would have picked up all sorts of little tiny pieces of wood and sawdust possibly that came out and then got in the finish. If you look at this finish, this is very, it's got a lot of little pieces of dust and stuff in. Not so nice. When you do a typical countertop pour, you would just pour it on and kind of smooth it around and not have all that stuff in there. So that is what it looks like if you just do the high gloss. And then on our kitchen, I don't know if you can see the difference in the finish. It kind of has like a matte sheen to it. That is a water-based top coat that you can buy from Stone Coat. And it adds durability. It also changes the look of the finish so that it's not super high gloss, showing every little thing. You can actually see here, there was some caulk on here. I tried to acetone things down very well. Did not get it all. And so we are going, and there again, I'm going to be caulking this stuff together anyway to seal up the seams. So I plan on doing a light sand over all of this stuff, and then we're going to be putting on that water-based matte finish on top, which I am hoping to kind of hide a lot of the little tiny blemishes. And of course, I'm hoping the sanding will also remove and smooth out some of that stuff and not have such a high gloss. I kind of think it looks a little touch more professional with that matte finish anyway. But yeah, I'm kind of racing through this project, wanting to get the boat back together. And I just kind of wanted to show you the process. I did not delint my microfiber on the first go around. Now I'm only going to be working on the very nice finishes. I will not be putting this on the edges and stuff of the plywood, for example. So I'm going to want to do this top coat very carefully and cleanly to avoid having a bunch of lint and dirt and stuff in the finish. So I'll keep you posted on how that goes.
I would like to show what all this epoxy woodwork looks like with the water base finish over top of the oil base epoxy. This is what it looks like while it is still wet, and I will of course show you what it looks like. Planned on leave it in here over the weekend. We'll show you what it looks like next week, but yeah, it kind of hides a little bit of all the imperfections. There's no way I would have rushed through a job like this if I was doing a countertop for a house, but we are wanting to keep this project on a fast pace to get out on the water. So for anybody who is interested in the bow thruster on a Ranger Tug, this right here, hopefully you can see okay. I know I don't have theater lighting in here. Those are the power cables. There's a couple negatives over here, and then also the little control wires that get plugged in. And this right here, just 2 Allen bolts on each side. A little keyway, it just slips on there. The seal evidently is inside there. I do not know if there is a replaceable seal for those, but that is something that may need replaced at some point. I have removed the bow thruster out of my boat. These here 2 terminals, the negative and the positive, as you can see, they were really corroded up. What from the top didn't look too bad. As soon as you touched your hand underneath of this, let me see if I can flip it over. This is a small but heavy unit. You can see, boom, a little bit of corrosion stuff. I have been cleaning. There was a little bit even over here. Getting this all cleaned up, wire brushed. I'm going to put some paint on this after it gets sanded down, and just touch this up a little bit. There again, things can look okay on the surface, and then you get under it and needs a little bit of TLC. And I feel like with a little TLC, who knows, might be able to get a lot more life out of this. This, I believe, based on the sticker on here, it looks like an 07. I don't know. Can't really see the date very well, but it could be original to the boat. I expect it's original to the boat, actually. Be surprised if it wasn't. Alright, this is what it looks like after using a wire wheel on a drill and hitting it pretty aggressively. Any place that it had ever so slight amount of flaking paint, I will not be putting paint on the aluminum part. It actually traps corrosion and causes more problems. But these places over here I'm going to touch up with a little bit of paint. And of course, I don't want to paint my terminals, so I'll get those covered up. And yeah, I just took a little wire wheel on the end of my drill. So I got a little set here, and I have been loving them. Nice to have tools. All cleaned with acetone and wiped down and ready for, and taped off, ready for a little bit of paint. I don't have gray paint, so I'm just using what I have on the shelf, and I have a little bit of blue paint. So anyway, I'll get this painted up. I hosed this thing down with paint, and it will hopefully be good for a little while. So anyway, put it on quite quite a bit heavier than I normally would, but I just decided, you know what? I want it protected. I don't care about runs. I care about protection from the harsh environment. So last night we took the swim platform off to provide a little bit better access to everything back here. We would like to install an underwater light and prep all this area for bottom paint. You can kind of see with this here stern thruster. I don't know that it's really leaking that bad, but we would like to rebed that and reset it, kind of check things out and get very familiar with its function and how it's wired up. And so having that swim platform off should make all of that a lot easier. Okay, this right here is where the stern thruster was. It looks like, based on the what I assume is 5200 installed around there, I would not have had to remove it. However, these 3 bolts up here were leaking and needed replaced. So I'll be keeping an eye on all the other bolts. The most important bolts, in my opinion, to keep the swim platform from falling off are actually these top ones. And I do not believe those are above the water line, so very unlikely of this ever falling off, but it still is nice for every bolt to be in place doing its job. This is the stern thruster. Most of it looks pretty good, except the one end panel, and I was able to remove that, and I'm just cleaning it up so that it can get painted and reinstalled.
So Bruce cut this mattress to size very nicely this morning, and I think he did an absolutely perfect job. We actually took it out there and sized it, and it's gonna fit perfect in the V-berth. I got the V-berth completely cleaned this morning, and the last couple panels we got painted. So anyway, we're restitching what was around it, and I'm just like hand sewing this inner cover, and then I'm going to have to make a professional looking cover for the mattress cover that we took off. We're just going to repurpose this again. It has a zipper. I hope I can use part of that. Anyway, that's our bed. It's actually huge. It's just shaped funny, and it'll be very hard to make as a V-berth bed goes. You can't really get around it. But it's looking good, and I'm happy. We actually laid on it for a little bit, and we're like, wow, this actually doesn't feel too bad. So it might actually work. Maybe we'll even be more cushy in that bed than the one we have in the house here. Okay, look how this turned out. Bruce and I muscled this thing in here today, and it's beautiful in here. It works. We have a bed.
Boo.
So you got my copy?
Yeah. Working on a cover for the, I don't know what you would call it, companionway going into the V-berth.
I call it a curtain, maybe.
A curtain over the V-berth. My biggest concern with that is to be able to have some blackout. So yeah, because it's pretty hard to black out the whole boat with all the windows and hatches. So we'll see how this works.